Hello and welcome to odds on CONMEBOL qualifiers for the World Cup Matchday 9. We are back in South America with a lot of surprises we saw in the previous match day. Brazil losing to Paraguay, Bolivia winning in Chile, and now a bomb was thrown in the Uruguay campsite. Leo, a lot of interesting things in South America.
Absolutely. Many things happened since the last 2 match days. Actually, on those 2 match days, the last one in September, the only South American team to win both games, Bolivia, surprisingly. 4-0 against Venezuela in El Alto, and then 2-1 in Santiago against Chile. And then, yes, last week we got Luis Suarez throwing a bomb in the Uruguayan camp, talking many not good things about 𝗀𝗏𝗧𝐿. I'm going to go through it once we take on Peru and Uruguay, but definitely not a good time in Uruguay.
Yeah, not in Uruguay, not in Chile, not in Brazil. And we have, for instance, Chile, Brazil. So, guys, remember, as always, leave your comments, subscribe, press the like. Now, let's go on with the show. And the first game is going to be Bolivia, Colombia. Of course, Bolivia, they are playing again in El Alto. It worked with Venezuela, 4-0. They are doing again against Colombia. Colombia always play in Barranquilla with the humidity, with the hot weather. So now they have to go to the altitude. But Bolivia surprised everyone. Leo beating Chile after these ugly circumstances when the goalkeeper got injured. Chile took the chance, scored the goal, and Bolivia, after the kickoff, they score again. So now they are back in the track to fight for a World Cup spot. Also, Colombia was an excellent break because they were able to beat the world champions Argentina with James Rodriguez again scoring. And of course, the names of John Duran, of Luis Diaz are also on the table.
Yeah, some things never change, like James assisting or James scoring for Colombia, it seems to be. Bolivia's win in Santiago was great, was amazing. Edu, the first away win for Bolivia since 1993, when they beat and thrashed Venezuela 7-1 in Caracas on the way to the World Cup in the United States, 1994. So who knows? Now the World Cup is again in the United States, and but for them it's already, Edu, 3 wins in the last 4 matches for Bolivia. They rise to 7th in the table with 9 points. First half in Santiago was absolutely madness. Bolivia scoring early in the game. That was followed by the terrible injury of Carlos Lampe, the Bolivian goalkeeper, who broke his 𝐿𝐭𝐴𝐧𝐧𝐞𝐜 tendon, and that's why Edu Vargas was able to score. But as you say, straight away after, Bolivia scored the second one. On the second half, it was a great defensive display by Bolivia. I was surprised with the counter-attacking football they played also in Santiago. So whatever 𝗀𝗏𝗏𝗀𝐿𝐴, the new manager, is doing, he just needs to keep doing that because so far it's absolutely working. But after Venezuela and Chile, of course, there is a much bigger challenge now with Colombia waiting on Thursday. Colombia was not outstanding, I would say, against Argentina, but quite efficient. They took their chances. It's true that they had 1 or 2 more chances at the end of the game, maybe to make the margins of their win a little bit bigger, but it wasn't the free flow Colombia we saw in the Copa America or between September and November last year. But if we saw something repeating from those times, is, as I said, James spot on, James assisting, James scoring from the penalty spot. He assisted Mosquera for the first goal of the match. Actually, Mosquera will be missed for Colombia because he broke his ACL for playing for Wolverhampton a few weeks ago against Aston Villa. Mentioning Aston Villa, Néstor Lorenzo is doing what Emery is not doing with John Duran, which is playing him from the start. Against Argentina, he was not very lively, but very sure he's going to start again in El Alto for Colombia. We spoke about this last month of Bolivia moving their games from La Paz to El Alto, which is 500 meters higher above the sea level than La Paz, which was already the highest ground in the world at 3,600 meters. But look, Colombia away in Bolivia. This is everything in La Paz because it's gonna be the first time in El Alto, but still, they played Bolivia away 7 times since 1997, and they won 2. They drew 4, and they lost only once, which was on the road to Germany 2006. And again, the Alto is a different beast. I take that. But then I'm seeing that the bookies are not too convinced yet to go Colombia, to go Bolivia. The margins are very small so far. But you have to see that since those encounters, since 1997 away in Bolivia, all those games for Colombia and Bolivia ended up with both teams scoring. Only one game in La Paz ended up just with Bolivia scoring. So I will point to that market. But in this case, both teams to score, yes, odds of 1.95, Edu.
Well, James is going to be rested because he's not playing that much with Rayo Vallecano. He's not starting many games. This could be a tricky game for Colombia. That's why the odds are so high for every single outcome. Very difficult to go for the 1x2 in this one, considering, of course, the altitude. And the next game is Ecuador-Paraguay. 11 points for Ecuador, 2 more than Bolivia. They beat Peru, and that was a key game. Ener Valencia scored the winner, and they are facing Paraguay that also somehow they are in the race. They are in playoff spots because they made it. They were able to beat Brazil, only 2 goals scored and 3 conceded. That gives us, Leo, the balance or the parameter of the low scoring games that we usually see with Paraguay, but even with Ecuador, we don't see many goals. So it looks like a clear under this one.
Yes, absolutely. If someone's going to point to the goals market, this one is at least, well, we talked before of the game, is under. That's for sure, under in the goals market. Paraguay is the best defensive. They can boost the best defensive numbers in the qualifier. Just 3 goals conceded so far. We spoke of the straightaway impact of 𝗀𝗏𝗏𝗀𝗏 in Bolivia, and the same has to be said about Gustavo Alfaro with Paraguay. A draw away with Uruguay and a huge win against Brazil. It does not matter if Brazil is far from enjoying a good time. Brazil is always Brazil, and for Paraguay was the first time they defeated the Verde Amarela since 2008. And they climb now to the 7th with 9 points and only just 1 point behind, actually, the Brazil national team. Look, it was just the third win in 17 qualifiers for Paraguay. So, of course, Asunción went mad after that win against Brazil. When Alfaro was waiting and greeting his players in the tunnel, he was shouting, "Well done, come on, we are going to the World Cup." That was he was shouting to his players. So that's the belief right now in Paraguay's camp, and that's how Alfaro has changed the mood. To see defenders and midfielders in Paraguay running and going to the floor for a tackle, we have seen that. That's historically what Paraguay is, but especially when they play at home. But then when you see players like Diego Gomez, who scored a screamer, Miguel Almirón, Julio Enciso, Ramon Sosa, all doing the same, is because the manager message is being taken by the group. I mentioned 4 players, which I personally believe Paraguay could try playing in a different style to support their characteristic. But Alfaro has always been someone who will always start building from a clean sheet. And in 2 matches, we have seen unity in the squad that wasn't there to be seen before. And again, 4 points out of 6 and 2 clean sheets with Alfaro. And Ecuador, Edu, they did not have to suffer to beat Peru, but they had to dig deep, actually, for the first win under Sebastián Becasese. Nothing to complain about the attitude of his players, of their determination, but the reality is that they have the ball 75% possession for Ecuador against Peru, and they didn't translate that into many goal scoring opportunities. At some point, I have the feeling that they have so many players that can run so much. Preciado on the right wing, Estupiñán on the left wing, Joe Mercado behind the striker, Kendry Páez, that they need some kind of patience, some kind of pause sometimes in the way they play. That's why Alan Franco playing at the back of the midfield, like I said, was their best player in those two games against Brazil and Peru, because he's someone who has that. He can dictate the rhythm of the match. You mentioned Ecuador not scoring so much at home. Look, Ecuador is now unbeaten in their last 10 qualifying games at home, and they have kept 7 clean sheets in those 10 games. So again, anyone pointing to the goals market, yes, definitely you have to go to the goals under. But for me, I don't see Ecuador being massively favorite here, Edu, as we can see maybe on the odds. My finger will point here to the job Alfaro is doing, to his experience against not so much experience with 𝗵𝗵𝗄𝗧 in Ecuador. Double chance Paraguay is where I'm going to point here, Edu. Double chance Paraguay, very good odds, 2.4.
That would be a massive surprise, because Ecuador to win is 1.66.
Yeah.
The under is no surprise, pays very little, under 2.5 goals only pays 1.5. No one expects goals in this game. Imagine, Leo, that Ecuador to win pays exactly the same as Argentina to win. And
Yes.
in my mind, is much more likely Argentina to beat
Yeah.
Venezuela, even if Venezuela haven't lost yet at home in these qualifiers. 2 draws, 2 wins. Their last break was not very positive. With the draw with Uruguay, we expected more from them, because Uruguay arrived very depleted to that game. They also lost to Bolivia, and Argentina, as we know, they lost to Colombia, but still, Leo, I place Argentina as favorite. And now Venezuela, they only have 1 point more than Paraguay and Bolivia, probably their rivals to go to the World Cup.
Yes, absolutely. And when you just mentioned for the first time Venezuela, I did this face because lately the landscape changed a little bit for the Vinotinto, because it's 4 matches without a win, Edu, now, and just scoring 1 throughout those four matches. After the thrashing they suffered with Bolivia, they could only draw under the heavy rain in Maturin against Uruguay. And you mentioned Uruguay, which was mostly depleted because of all the suspensions and injuries they had on the time. They had their chances, of course. Actually, they made Sergio Rocher, the goalkeeper, the man of the match. 𝗀𝗏𝗀𝐻𝐵 had a very good chance in the first half. The same for Rondon. In the second half, Jefferson Soteldo took the game in his hands, but still they couldn't pass Rocher. Within the bad news of not winning any of their last 4 matches, the good news is that they have kept 4 consecutive clean sheets at home so far in this campaign, winning without conceding against Paraguay and Chile, and their last 2 0-0 with Ecuador and Uruguay. The reality is that with Bolivia and Paraguay showing signs of improving and also winning matches, Edu, the fear is that Venezuela could waste a massive opportunity for qualification if they don't get back as well to winning ways themselves. They need to get back to that dynamic team that we saw between September and November, and also in the Copa America. Argentina, on the other side, also need to get back to winning ways after the defeat with Colombia in Barranquilla, a game in which the first half they dominated, I would say, but the reality is that without Messi, without Di Maria, Argentina is struggling to find someone who can create something different in the last third. Because with Colombia, Argentina moved the ball very well, but did not translate that again into clear goal chances. Now Messi is back. I have seen him with Inter Miami. He scored a brace and assisted one 2 games ago. Then on the weekend, he played only half an hour against Toronto. He looks fine. Physically, I mean, he's all right on his injury, so hopefully he's going to play a great part now with Venezuela. But his tempo needs to be different. Of course, the MLS is not the South American qualifiers. Argentina without Nico Gonzalez, without Dybala, both out injured, without Dibu Martinez, Dibu Martinez got 2 game suspension ban because he hit the cameraman after the game in Barranquilla, who was trying to get...
Leo, I had my doubts about Dibu, but he's been outstanding lately. Outstanding. For me, one of the best keepers in the world.
Yes, I know. And to be honest, I have many people who tell me, no, Dibu Martinez is great, but he's not the best in the world. Courtois is better. And I could agree with that. But if we just going to focus on how they are performing right now, yes, I could say that Dibu Martinez is there with Courtois. And for some people, if you ask Emery, Dibu Martinez is the best in the world. But against Bayern Munich, it was amazing. Yesterday, again, few great saves against Manchester United. So he's enjoying a massive moment, Dibu Martinez. So for Argentina, it's a great loss not to have him. It's not the same to have Dibu Martinez than to have Geronimo Rulli. Is what it is. Thankfully, we're going to have a Nico Paz first call with the national team. Although Scaloni has shown also that he can call young players, but it doesn't mean he's going to give them minutes. Garnacho almost did not play in the Copa America and did not have a minute against Colombia. Carboni did not play a single minute in the Copa America and neither against Chile and Colombia. Matias Soule was called in September, but he didn't even make it to the bench in those matches. Facundo Buenanote, the Leicester player, I don't know if you have seen it, but he scored a beautiful goal against Bournemouth on Saturday. He was called up because of the injuries of Dybala and Nico Gonzalez. We'll see if McAllister is fully fit because he also had to leave the pitch after halftime against Crystal Palace because of a knock. Enzo and De Paul are not enjoying great moments in their teams, but still, Argentina's favorite here, Edu. Without Emi Martinez, I won't go to Argentina to win 2-0, as always. I won't do that. There is a pattern of Argentina scoring goals for the second half, leaving it lately. It happened in the Copa America and also with Chile and Colombia in September. My tip here is Argentina to win second half. We take the odds higher, 1.95.
Okay, Gazzaniga could be another option, no? Instead of Rulli saving penalties with Girona.
Oh, yes, 2 penalties, right? He saved yesterday.
Even, well, Athletic missed 3 because one had to be retaken, but he's enjoying a good time with Girona despite that important miss against PSG. Well, one of the key games in this match day is Chile-Brazil because both are a complete disaster. Leo, Chile losing to Bolivia at home, I think was the end of the end, even if their goal came after that injury from the Bolivian goalkeeper. I think no one thought that the Chileans were going to miss that chance to score the goal, and Bolivia scored just 1 minute later. They also lost to Argentina, only 5 points, only beating Peru 1 year ago. So they are far from the World Cup spots, and also a lot of problems with Brazil, only 10 points. They lost to Paraguay. They suffered against Ecuador. A lot of injury problems. Vinicius is not going to be there. Militao with problems. Alisson with problems. Rodrigo with problems. So really tough one, this one, huh?
Tough one, and no, because they still have that talent there, and Chile is very poor at the moment, Edu, and I don't see this fighting spirit from them. I'm gonna go into that. And actually, when you mentioned Edu Vargas' goal, I was thinking if Bielsa was the manager of Chile, would have said, "Stop, guys. Now you need to concede to let them score as he has done with Leeds against Aston Villa in the championship." We'll see. I mean, Gareca is Billardista. He would never have told Edu Vargas, "No, please do not score," because the opposition player got injured or anything like that. But although, yeah, it was strange to see it.
I have to say that I asked some Chilean friends, and they had no doubt about scoring that goal.
No. I know. I'm not saying that they should have not done it. I'm just saying that what would have happened if Bielsa would have been there? Maybe it would have been different. But yes, I'll agree. I mean, if you ask me, I would say, yeah, it's fine. You need to score. Plus Edu Vargas never knew that what happened to Lampe. You know, he just saw someone like falling down and leaving the ball there for him to score. But this Edu could be the last double header for Ricardo Gareca, is what it is. The defeat against Bolivia was very hard to digest for supporters, for the press, for everyone. They have only won 1 in their last 11 competitive matches between World Cup and qualifiers and Copa America. In Chile, this was treated as a humiliating defeat because it was the first time in history that their team lost against Bolivia at home. Gareca needed to change the dreadful image left in the Copa America and with Argentina on match day 7, but his team was far from it. However, El Tigre is not the only one I will say here to blame, Edu. Today in Chile, everyone and everything is is failing. The more experienced players like Mauricio Isla, Paulo Diaz, Eric Pulgar or Matías Catalán, but also the youngsters are failing. Darío Osorio, Víctor Dávila, who are having a good time or enjoying great times in their class, but they cannot take that form into the national team. The most worrying thing that happened to Chile lately is that they seem to have lost also the greatest legacy of Arturo Vidal, Alexis, Gary Medel, Claudio Bravo, which was character, personality, and attitude. They should watch how Paraguay played against Brazil and learn from it, I would say. But still, I can't see them having a chance even with this disjointed Brazil. Brazil that lost 4 of their last 5 qualifiers. Brazil that won't have Vinicius for both match days. You mentioned Alisson, also, Eder Militao, Bremer, the Juventus central defender, Guilherme Arana, the left back, also out injured. They're all going to see the games against Chile on TV. In Asunción, the midfield that Dorival chose was Bruno Guimaraes, Paquetá, and André. In attack was Vini, Rodrigo, and Hendrik. The options to replace Vini will be Gabriel Martinelli or Rafinha, both of them having a great time in Arsenal and in Barcelona, which shows again something that most of teams will only dream about, having the chance of replacing one player with these two, with Gabriel Martinelli or Rafinha. But Dorival, yes, so far he has not been able to bring all this talent to the good of the collective. This Chile without fighting spirit required in these qualifiers, can't see them taking anything, sorry Edu, in here. So I will look to Brazil to win. Yeah, the odds are not high, but Brazil to win plus second half goals over 0.5. These two combined odds of 1.96.
Brazil to win pays exactly the same as Argentina to win as well, 1.6. Our friend Tom Rennie was heavily criticizing Lucas Paquetá also on his performances with West Ham, even if he scored the last goal at the weekend against Ipswich, but with the national team, he's a very important player as well. And the last game is Peru-Uruguay. Peru, the worst team in these qualifiers, the only team without a win, only 3 points at home, drew with Venezuela and Colombia in the last 2 games, and Uruguay arrives to Peru. Leo, with all the problems that you are going to explain between Luis Suarez and Bielsa, Luis Suarez, of course, now he's out of the national team, but he said some special words, let's say, about Bielsa.
Yeah, absolutely. And to be honest, he surprised everyone. I don't know if in Uruguay, some journalists they knew before, but in general, and especially in Argentina as well, where Bielsa, of course, is a huge name, this surprised everyone because Suarez said that Bielsa did not say hello to any of his players, never, in training or before games, that Bielsa told the team not to approach the supporters waiting outside the hotel during the Copa America, that Bielsa does not allow workers in the training ground to get even close to the dining room when the players are there, that physios are not allowed to talk to players outside their office, a regime of terror almost described by Suarez. He also said that he talked to Bielsa about all this, and for 5 minutes, and the only thing that Bielsa came after listening to Suarez was, muchas gracias, Luis. Thank you very much, Luis. That's the only thing he said to him. So I was completely surprised, to be honest, to hear something like this, because usually there's not a single player that have ever talked something bad about Bielsa. Yes, we know he's not the type of manager to get too close to his player. He's someone who prefers to keep a distance. But Suarez says what Suarez said goes beyond that. Fede Valverde on Saturday after Real Madrid game in which he scored, he said that what Suarez said was true, that there was nothing for him to say that anything was a lie. Rochette, the goalkeeper, said that those kind of things need to be treated in private. Will the Uruguayan Association hold a meeting between all sides? They say yes. But how is going to be the preparation if the relation between players and manager is apparently broken? This Uruguay haven't scored in the last 2 matches with Paraguay and Venezuela. Darwin is still out, suspended, but Bielsa is having Valverde and Nathan Nandes back from suspension. Nico de la Cruz, Georgian de Arrascaeta, they're also back from injury. Josema Jimenez and Matias Oliveira will comply with their 3rd match suspension with Peru, but they will be available against Ecuador. This should be enough for 𝗀𝗲𝗍 and from Uruguay, and despite all this turmoil and despite the bomb thrown by Suarez, this should be enough, I believe, to win against the bottom of the qualifiers, who haven't won a single game yet. A Peru team that resigned any chance of attacking against Ecuador in Quito, only 25% possession. Even after Ecuador scored with Valencia, Peru did not bother to get into the Ecuadorians' half. Yes, against Colombia on match day 7, Peru shown some sign of fighting spirit, and they will need that against Uruguay, but I cannot see them surprising Marcelo Bielsa's Uruguay. So for me, it's Uruguay to win. Very good odds. Uruguay to win 1.95.
Okay, Uruguay playing at home against Ecuador. Actually, in the next match day that we will analyze the following week is pretty easy, I would say, for the home teams, Colombia, Paraguay, Uruguay, Argentina, and Brazil. We have not big clashes, but this will come next week, Leo, because for this one, you've analyzed everything, a lot to talk about, with a lot of controversies, polemics. And tell me now your safe bet.
Bolivia, Colombia, goals over 1.5, odds of 1.4.
And the ACCA?
ACCA, I will take the safe bet, the goals over 1.5 in Bolivia, Colombia. Second half goals over 0.5 in Venezuela, Argentina, and Uruguay to win. This free leaves him with an ACCA of 3.52, Edu.
Okay, Leo, thank you very much. Thanks everyone for watching. Bye-bye.